Blissett and Taylor, who sprang forward, you may remember, on a couple of occasions in the cup final with good strikes at goal. Rostron. Almost a case of scrum down. Rostron was holding the ball, and the referee will now drop it between Blissett and Peter Reid. Stevens miscuing the clearance. Blissett trying to turn Reid. Reid coming in from an angle that was almost automatically going to lead to a free kick to Watford. From a promising position. Callahan to take it. Barnes, off the bar, Blissett! It was the back header by John Barnes. Callahan's free kick, very much in the Watford style, looking for the player coming in at the near post. Southall was beaten out off the bar. Stephen, now Reid. Terry going across, and Sharp off the post, and finally away by McLennan, and Bracewell snatched at the opening that really he shouldn't have been allowed to have. First of all, Everton will feel that they should have scored, because Peter Reid got a good angle here to cut the ball back. And Sharp couldn't quite work it inside that post. Coton was scrambling. McLennan could have given it to the goalkeeper, gave it straight to Bracewell, who was wild in his finishing attempt. Gilligan pushing into Derek Mountfield, who will remember well Mountfield, the 5-4 win at Watford earlier this season. He scored for both sides in that game. Stephen, and here's Sharp, and here's Sheedy, and Coton couldn't get there, and Terry was the last line of defence. Deserved the pat on the back. Incisive work from Trevor Stephen. Sharp opted to use Sheedy. The shot was mishit by Sheedy's standards. The deflection beat Coton. Still on crutches, Adrian Heath, with the knee injury that will keep him out, one thinks, for the rest of the season. But maybe his goal power is something that Everton could have done with in the first half. The First Division leaders who've scored in every home league game this season. Again, denying Everton space. Bracewell, Stevens. Into the feet of Reid. Lovely dummy on Barnes. Almost a case of the bite a bit. John Barnes has done that often enough to opponents. Peter Reid twisted into the dummy. Barnes just came up with the answer, but it's cost Watford a corner. And Coton paws it away, only as far as Reid. Sheedy had got back onside. Gray, and Coton did well. Gray's header taking a deflection, but it just won't go in for him at the moment. The Everton players well aware of the other values of Andy Gray, apart from scoring, but they'd love to see him put the ball in the back of the net. Van den Hauwe out by Sinnott. So close for Andy Gray, who climbed characteristically, and Coton got a hand to deny Gray the goal. Sharp. Bracewell wasn't going to come second, although the odds were against him. Sheedy. Bracewell involved again. Stephen meeting the cross, and Gary Stevens, and the deflection, cruel for Watford and Coton, but the First Division top scorers have finally found a way through, and they needed a bit of luck to do it. 11 minutes into the second half, Gary Stevens reflects on his good fortune, but Paul Bracewell had played such a big part in setting up the goal. In the end, looped over Coton. But it's Gary Stevens' goal, and he's on the score sheet just as he was in the FA Cup tie last week against Doncaster. So the challenge now laid down to Watford. They have contained well enough until a moment of misfortune, and Blissett. He didn't know that Southall was coming, because Luther Blissett had his eye on the ball as it came in, and Southall, I think, gambled a little to go for it, and the gamble paid off. Stevens, off goes Sharp. Stevens aims for Andy Gray. Watford get bodies around Gray. Bracewell. Stevens. Gray has stolen a yard here on Terry. Bracewell. Well played. Stevens. He's got another. And once again, Bracewell was involved. Tony Coton had no chance. Would have barely got a sight of the ball as it sped through a crowded area in front of the goalkeeper. Great. Reed. Perhaps telling Stevens where he might have been. It was a little infield on that occasion. Much more verb about Everton now. Bracewell. Gray left it. Sheedy! Oh, yes! Sweet as you like. But an indication of a much more relaxed Everton approach, having gone two in front. And again, admire Paul Bracewell. He left John McClelland, and Andy Gray, who might have been tempted to go for the cross himself, let it run, presumably on a call from Sheedy. And what a perfect view of almost the perfect goal. And here is the scorer of it. So with 20 minutes remaining, Everton lead by 3 goals to 0. Lohman will have his name taken. He left a foot in after Stephen had taken the ball past him. Not quite the impact coming on that I think Jan Lohman would like to be remembered for. You can forgive him determination to be back in the thick of the fray. He's missed 15 months with a knee injury. Sharp. Stephen took it on the chest, and Coton couldn't keep it out. So he can't be that badly hurt. It's 4-0. And Coton now in the second half is going through the nightmare, though little blame can be attached to him that he went through at Vicarage Road in his Watford debut. Paul Bracewell masterminding Everton's midfield in the second half. 2 goals for Gary Stevens, Kevin Sheedy and Trevor Stephen the other scorer, and Everton's unblemished record in 1985 continues, a 7th successive victory in fact in League and FA Cup. A final score at Goodison Park, It's Everton 4, Watford 0.
So Everton go striding on at the top in powerful and impressive form. But how does Howard Kendall rate their title chances now?
It is the main aim at the start of any season, really, to finish out on top after 42 games. We're no different to everybody else. I mean, we're ahead of everyone else, so I think that we've got the better chance.
Are you worried about the pressures of leading from the front?
No, we were in front a few weeks ago, and then we lost the lead after losing at home to Chelsea. And then we bounced back after 2 away matches. I think it was another home match, I think against Newcastle, that we bounced back on top. I'm not sure about that. But you sensed really that the players were looking to get back on top as quickly as possible, and that's what they did. I don't sense any pressure when they're on the top. I think the pressure is when you're at the bottom.